Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and in this one we're going to be continuing our rebuild of the Miami Marlins in MLB The Show 18, and we're going to be jumping into year number 4 here, continuing with the 2021 season, and it has been a little bit of time since I've uploaded a video, especially one for the Marlins here in this rebuild, so in case anybody is new and hasn't seen any of those previous videos that I've done and wants to check those out, or in case anybody has forgotten what exactly was going on and they feel like checking those out again, feel free to go back on the channel and look at those. I'll also leave the links to the first 3 videos in this series, I guess, in the description below. My voice cracked. But yeah, we're going to be continuing from where we left off, obviously, and over the past year or so, this team has really started to make some strides forwards. Over the first 3 seasons in this rebuild, we really focused on doing that full rebuild and taking our time with it, bringing in a lot of those young players that are going to help us out as the seasons go by, really keeping that payroll low. In a lot of the trades and signings that we made, we really focused on bringing in prospects and young talent, or guys that we could get on cheap deals for the most part. But as I mentioned, I think in the past video or two, at this point, we're going to try to, move a little bit away from that and really focus more on bringing in some major league talent, some impact players, if that's possible. And I only say that because the salary and the budget, it's not very high for us for this team, and we're pretty close to the ceiling of that already. So we're going to work with that as best we can. Really try to focus on bringing in major league talent, like I said, from this point forwards, in trades and in free agent signings, and really try to, keep this team moving forwards and have them be playoff relevant and really look to make the postseason. Because right now, for this roster, I really do see a postseason spot as a real attainable goal. If not this year, definitely by next season. So moving forward, that's really what we're going to be looking to do. Now, for the offseason, which has already passed, of course, we did, cut ties with a few players. We signed a few players as well. We did not bring back relievers Lorenzen and Liberatore, catcher Holiday, left fielder Jackson, and right fielder Galloway. And the guys that we did bring in there were 4 of them. One was Kevin Gausman. We brought him in on a 1-year deal. A little bit expensive for our team, but I really wanted to bring in someone that could help really strengthen that rotation for us, and really give us, like I said, a strong rotation for this season, as I do feel like we're turning a corner and we're really in a position that we can, make the postseason if we really try for it. So as long as we were able to afford him, which we were, I wanted to sign him, but it is only to a 1-year deal. Another guy that we brought in was Josh Fields to really strengthen our bullpen and make sure that remains a strength for us, as a lot of these guys had pretty nice seasons over the past year or two. Josh Fields is a nice veteran presence. He's a little bit older. I think we only signed him to a 1-year deal, but we'll see how he progresses, if he starts to decline or anything, but hopefully he'll help us out there. Another guy that we brought in just for depth on the 40-man roster was Caleb Joseph at catcher, who has some major league experience. That was really the biggest thing that I was looking for. I was looking for someone we could bring in fairly cheap, just as a depth piece who would pretty much, for the most part, be in the minor leagues. But if we really needed someone to fill a major league spot for a certain amount of time, he had some major league experience. And then the 4th guy that we brought in was Justin Bohr. We actually brought back. He's going to be platooning, at least to start the season, with Cooper, as he's a little bit better versus righties, and Cooper's a little bit better versus lefties, so that kind of fits nicely there. For the most part, other than that, it's really the same roster that we left off on. We have Anderson, Kirilloff, Arcia, Brinson, and Tomas that are probably going to be starting out in the outfield for us. Riddle, Rojas, Seager, Robertson, Noose, Diaz, Bohr, and Cooper are on the infield. We're going to have to make some moves there because we are 2 men over the limit for the major league roster. We have Will Smith and Blaine Miles as our catchers. In the bullpen, we have Minter closing, Alvarado, Jimenez, Green, Steckenrider, Fields, and Guerrero filling out the bullpen. And of course, in the rotation, we have Lamet, Gossman, Heaney, Garcia, and Bridwell as the number 5 starter. I do want to make one trade before the season starts, which I'll update you guys on in just a minute. But before we get to that, moving into the standings here where we can see kind of where our team ranks. As I mentioned, we have been making some strides forwards. I don't remember honestly where we left off, what rank we were at the end of season 3, but I know that to start off we were kind of like around the 30th ranked team in baseball. So we're up to 15th. That's a really good sign. The defense and speed is still 30th, but that is something I just really struggle with here. And if that was a little bit higher, we would obviously be higher ranked. But we're going to do our best. Overall, we're really improving, so that's always a good thing to see. And of course, for the salary and the budget, I should say, we've gone up quite a bit, about 30 plus million from the beginning of last season. But that's going to go down a little bit with the trade that I have in mind that I want to make. But yeah, just kind of wanted to update you guys on those things, of course, as I usually do. And I will meet you at the trade screen in just a moment to make one trade before this season gets started. And then from there, we're going to move into it and get started with 2021 for the Marlins. And hopefully this will be a good year, a really nice step forward for us. And, fingers crossed that we can make the postseason. But again, if not this year, definitely next year. But stay tuned and we'll see how this season plays out. Okay, so the one trade that I wanted to make before the season began was really just to move on from JT Riddle, who has kind of struggled to perform consistently for us. And I'd really like to get a guy playing shortstop at the major league level who is a little bit more reliable, someone who can hit over 210 or 215 on a more regular basis. Now, we're going to be getting back a prospect in Jacob Pearson, who's 22 B potential, almost a 70. Someone who needs a little bit more time to develop, but someone who could definitely be playing at the major league roster within a year to 2 years, depending on the players in front of him, and of course depending on how long this rebuild actually goes. But I know this kind of goes against what I said in the beginning of the video in terms of wanting to get back major league talent moving forward, which I still stand by. But the main factor here is that the budget is really tight right now, and to be honest, for any shortstop or middle infielder that's going to be an upgrade from Riddle, I really don't think that we're able to afford their salary, and I really don't want to push the budget right to the max right now. I'd much rather subtract a little bit from it if possible, which is what we're going to be doing here. So that's really the biggest reason why we're going for a prospect right now. Another reason is that I'm pretty happy right now with where the major league roster is. I don't really think it needs much change at the moment. If anything, we'll look to change it up depending on how players start performing as the year goes on, closer to the trade deadline. Not to mention that Robertson here can definitely play short and Seager can play third. So that's going to be the trade that we make before the season gets underway. And I'll meet you guys at the draft next, and we'll kind of go over, we will go over, I should say, the players that we offer contracts to. But yeah, hopefully this season is a good one for the Marlins. Hopefully, like I said, we're able to take a step forward and do a little bit better, maybe make a playoff spot. But we'll see how this trade works out for us, and I'll meet you guys at the draft screen in just a moment. Now, I know that I said that we were only going to make that one trade before the season started, but once we jumped into the regular season, before we started playing any games, I went back into this the standing screen here and noticed that we had dropped down to 25th overall, and I was just not happy with that. So I had a change of opinion here in what I wanted to do before the season started. I'm not really sure why it changes like that, because I really didn't have any, for the most part, the roster was the same during spring training. I already had it set when we made that trade, for the most part, I think, if not completely. And, I don't know why it dropped so much in our team rating, or why it was much higher during spring training. Maybe it has to do with other teams having a lot of lower rated players that don't make the major league roster. I'm not really sure exactly, but regardless, being 25th overall, I was not happy with. So we do want to jump in and make a few more moves. I have a few in mind, and we're going to go over them one by one in the trade screen or the free agent signing screen before the season gets underway. And after that, we will be jumping into the draft. So let's go in and figure out what exactly we're looking to do here before the season starts. Now, there were a few players immediately that I thought that we could definitely probably trade. Probably trade. One was Gausman. Now, I know we signed him to a one-year deal and we just signed him, but, you know, he's making $11.2 million, and I definitely don't want to be trading Lamet or Heaney. You know, those two guys are two guys that I definitely want to hold on to. Maybe Garcia, I'm not really sure at this point, but because of his salary, really that's the main reason. I did see one or two guys in free agency that we could definitely try to pick up. Another guy that we might look to trade is actually Lewis Brinson, who really has not been able to get things going for us. I was going to give him another year to kind of see if he can, you know, make some progress and improve, but you know, we're trying to get the team a little bit better in the now rather than in the future at the moment. So, you know, he might be someone that we look to move and be able to get something back for. I think it was mostly him, Gausman, and I think Diaz was the other guy that I thought I might try to move. Now, I know I really did want to try to have Diaz improve and be our starting second baseman moving forward, but he has struggled a little bit, and he really didn't do that well during spring training, I don't think. Regardless, his attributes are still somewhat low, and I'm not entirely convinced that he's really ready to be an everyday player on a team that's trying to make the postseason. So we're probably going to look to trade him too. Now, I still have to go and look and see if I can find any trades for these guys. But I do have some guys in mind, like I said, that I want to pick up maybe in free agency, in combination with making a few trades. So again, we will go to that screen one by one and see what we can do to make this team a little bit better before the season begins. So for the first trade here that we're going to make, or I should say the second trade for this year, we're going to be sending over Gausman and Oswaldo Arcia, who's an outfielder, to the Nationals for Cesar Hernandez and Jed Jerko. Now, I know we do have a lot of third basemen, but some of them are pretty versatile players that can play several positions, so we're able to move some of them around. The same goes for Jerko. Now, he will probably be playing third base for us. Maybe we'll put Robertson at short. Maybe get Seager some playing time at first. Maybe he becomes more of a bench bat because he's probably going to decline a little bit. And then Hernandez is going to be taking over second base. So we're kind of committing to moving on from Diaz at this point. So we'll probably be moving him in another trade before the season gets underway. But this is going to be the first trade. I do think it helps shore up the offense a little bit more. With some, major league talent here between Hernandez and Jerko, guys that are veterans that can definitely help out the ball club. So yeah, that's going to be the first trade. Hopefully it helps us out. We do need to probably find another outfielder to replace Arcia, as he is on the major league roster for us, as well as another starter to replace Gausman, and I think that'll be the next move, as we'll see moving to that screen. So like I was saying, for the second move here, or the third move, the third move here before the season starts that we're going to be making is to sign Jake Arrieta. Now I know he's a bit older at 35, but he's still an 87 overall. He probably will decline, so we're really just looking to sign him to a one-year deal. But he's a little bit less, if not pretty much the same, in terms of salary as Gausman was, and we only had Gausman on a one-year deal, so I think this is going to be a nice replacement for Gausman. Maybe we should have signed him to begin with, but maybe not. Maybe we wouldn't have been able to make some trades or anything like that, because we did have Gausman go in that second trade that we made. It's going to be getting confusing. The next move will be the fourth move, so I got to remember that. But yeah, we're going to be signing Jake Arrieta here and placing him in Gausman's spot from the rotation. So he's hopefully going to really help us out in really strengthening the front end of that rotation a little bit. Okay, so for the fourth move that we're going to be making, a trade with the Giants here, and it's going to be for Hunter Renfroe, who's a right fielder. He does play all the outfield positions. We're also going to be acquiring another third baseman, Brandon Drury, but he is someone who really is a versatile player. He plays second and all the outfield positions as well. Not to mention, he's got some pretty solid attributes, someone who could definitely be both a platoon or bench player as well as a starter if the team, if the team needed it, if he was able to fit in nicely as a starter. Who else? And then we're going to be getting a starting pitcher, a prospect in Jermaine Bird, who really was, I was kind of looking for someone to just kind of fill out the deal and make it a little more of an even trade. Yeah, and his attributes, they looked pretty decent to me. He's only 23, he's a B potential. I wasn't trying to get someone who wasn't decently, didn't have decent potential. Definitely looking for a B or higher potential. Probably wouldn't have gotten an A, but I wanted someone who wasn't, too low overall of an overall rating either. So he fits there nicely. We're going to be moving on from Lewis Brinson though, as well as Isan Diaz. Now in the other trade, we got someone who could fill in for Diaz in Hernandez. Drury is going to be a nice utility player for us, both infield and outfield. Moving on from Brinson, we have Renfroe, who's going to kind of fill in, not necessarily in center field, but he's going to fill in that spot. And we'll probably still need another outfielder. But I do have someone in mind that I might look to pick up in free agency to platoon with Renfroe, so we'll probably look to do that maybe next. But overall, I think this trade could help because Brinson and Diaz just, even though they're young and they have a lot of potential, they really haven't been able to get anything going. And I'm not so sure that they're going to be able to in a decent amount of time for us. So I do think this deal is going to really help us out moving forward, as well as in the present. But I'll meet you guys at the next screen for the next move that we make. I'm not really sure how much we're going to be doing here, but I'm trying to just make things a little bit better for the team, give them a little bit of a better chance to really try to make the postseason this year. So I'll meet you guys at the next screen for the next move that we make. Okay, so for the fifth move that we're going to be making here, we're going to be looking to acquire Josh Reddick via free agency. I'm not so sure that we can sign him on a one-year deal without really increasing that salary, even if we can that way, but we can't. So even though I'm really just looking for that one-year deal for him, it might have to be a 2-year deal if we want to sign him. We did release a lower-rated shortstop in the organization to make room for Reddick, but I do think we're going to have to go on 2 years here, which I'm not too into, but he's got really solid contact versus righties. He's a very solid defender in the field. So my idea is to have him platoon with Renfroe, probably in center field, because Renfroe can play that position. I'm not really sure off the top of my head, but it kind of depends on what the other outfielders that we have play, what positions they play. If one of them is better suited to play center, then we might platoon Reddick and Renfroe on another spot. But we'll kind of just see what fits best in that situation. But yeah, we're going to be signing him to a 2-year deal, which I'm really not necessarily too happy about doing. Really wanted that 1 year, but I really do think that he's going to help out in the outfield in that platoon role. Another move to be made, I think, and that might be it. So I'll meet you guys in just a second to see what we're going to do next. Okay, so the idea here was to trade Garcia and Smith for Glasnow and Faria, and just try to make the rotation a little bit better. But because of the budgetary constraints, which I wasn't aware of until I went to talk about making this trade, we're not able to do it. Now we can still get Faria, though it becomes a problem because I don't want to just trade Garcia for Faria because they're pretty similar in age and overall. And Garcia had a pretty decent year last year. I don't know if he's going to continue. There's really no way of knowing. But I'm not so sure that I want to necessarily just flip the two. My idea was to have if we're moving Garcia, we can send Bridwell down to AAA and have him be the guy that kind of comes up if we need someone else. And we can have Faria and Glasnow, who are both in the 80s overall rating, to fill in that rotation. But just one for, Garcia, I'm not really sure that I'm too into that. So that was an issue. But in fooling around with this budgetary constraint stuff, which is really confusing me because it's not all adding up in my mind, I did find one potential deal that I think we might pull the trigger on. So the deal would be Ruby De La Rosa, Paco Rodriguez, who both have decent salaries for guys that really aren't going to play a part on the Major League roster for us, along with, who was it? Caleb Smith? Or Pablo Lopez? Caleb Smith. Along with Caleb Smith for Jacob Faria. Now, the only thing is that it's a 3-for-1 with some decent kind of backup bullpen pieces, and a decent guy that could come up and fill in potentially in a rotation if we need to. I feel like we might be giving up a little bit too much for this, though none of these guys are really kind of like prospects or anything like that. So I think we may pull this trigger for this deal. And the rotation would be Lamet, Arrieta, Heaney, Garcia, and Faria, with Bridwell in the minors. Like I said, kind of to be that guy who comes up if we need someone to fill in. The one thing is we're losing a little bit of depth in the relief pitching, but there really aren't going to be injuries because those are turned off. So I think this is the deal that we're going to be making, which should be the last deal, I think. So we're going to pull the trigger on this. I hope it works out for us. I hope Faria performs and it doesn't bite us in the butt. But yeah, that's going to be the last move that we make, I think, before the season starts. I will meet you guys at the draft, and we will kind of go over how the team's doing, as well as any guys that we drafted that we offer contracts to. So yeah, I'll meet you guys there in just a second, and we'll get moving into the regular season finally. Alright, so not the best results for the draft here, which has become kind of a normal thing for me. Yeah, but we did sign one player, the first pick that we had, first baseman Tommy Hulse, who's 20 years old, 87 potential. He is only a 45 overall, and he needs a lot of time to develop pretty much across the board for the majority of his attributes. But the main reason that I'm signing him is because of his potential, and you never really know, he might come in useful for a trade to kind of help him get it done in the future. So that's really the main reason that I'm going to sign him, and hopefully he can kind of develop a little bit in the next year or so, depending on how long we go with this rebuild, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the draft. Not too much to talk about here. But really quickly, while we're at this screen, I do want to mention in the last video, there was one person who actually commented a few times, gave me some insights, some information about the draft and how it works and what he looks for when he does it. And I just wanted to mention, or just wanted to say that that was helpful information, useful information for me. I really do appreciate that. I did not use it in this draft, in this video. I probably won't use it for the Marlins rebuild, but moving forward in future rebuilds, I'm going to try to use some of that information you provided and try to do a little bit better manually on some of these drafts and see if we can get some better outcomes. But I do appreciate the information that you provided, and I just wanted to say thank you. But yeah, moving on from here, when the season started, we were ranked up to 15th, which was a lot better than 25th, which was where I thought we were going to be before the ranking decided to go crazy on me. But yeah, now we're down to 18th. I think that's probably just because some of our older players are declining a little bit, which is what I would imagine. I haven't actually gone in and checked just yet. But overall, we're doing pretty good. We're 6 games over 500. We were 10 games over. We just had a rough patch at the end of May, and we lost 8 of 10. But we've bounced back, won 2 more in a row. So yeah, hopefully we can keep up this level of play. Hopefully we'll be able to make the playoffs this year, as I've mentioned a lot. And yeah, we'll meet up again at the trade deadline and kind of go over any trades we're going to be making. Any updates on any players or anything with the All-Star break, and yeah, hopefully like I said, we're going to be able to get to the playoffs and do a little bit better this year. Try to maintain this level of play, like I said. Repeating myself a lot, so I will stop talking, and I'll meet you guys at the trade deadline in just a moment. Alright guys, so we are at the trade deadline, and there is just one trade that I'm pretty sure I'm going to be making here. So it's going to be Jake Arrieta and James Huff, who is a top prospect in our system, for Michael Wacha on the Cardinals. Now Wacha's 29, he's got 2 more years left on a 4-year deal. He's having a really good season, and you know, I'm willing to part ways with Huff because he's still a 67, and his clutch is incredibly low, which I'm not really too happy about seeing. Arrieta, you know, yes, he's highly rated, but he is starting to decline. He's probably going to continue to decline because he's 35 years old, and he's really not performing that well either. So I really don't think Wacha is going to come over and suddenly have an ERA near 5 for us. You know, there's a very small percentage of him doing that, so I think this is really going to help us out. And I think it's a good trade to make. So we're going to be making this trade. I don't necessarily think that there's going to be anything else that I want to do. For the most part, everybody's playing pretty well. There's a few guys having a bit of a down year. But, you know, not necessarily guys that I want to trade away just because they're having one down year. Lamette's not really doing too great this year. He's taking a step back again. Heaney's having a really good year. 12 wins, 2.65 ERA. Garcia's doing pretty well. He has a 3.39. Faria's pitching pretty well as well. And we always have Bridwell and Alcantara right behind them. For the most part, everyone in the bullpen's doing good. I think there's 2 guys, maybe Green's having a bit of a down year, and somebody else. I can't remember who it is. Maybe Steckenrider? Yeah, Steckenrider's not really doing too great. So he's someone to keep an eye on as well. Everybody else is doing pretty well. Jerko's not doing as good as I thought, so you know, we may look to move on from him after this season. Probably the same with Seager, even though he's holding up pretty decently so far, but he is declining quite a bit. So we'll probably move on from him. But these aren't guys that I necessarily want to trade, nor do I think we're going to get too much back for. So I probably just want to hold on to them for right now. Same with Reddick. You know, he's trending down. He's not doing too bad, but he's nowhere near what he was performing at prior to this season. But again, I don't really expect to get too much back for him. Or someone like Seager or Jerko. So we're probably going to keep the team as it is right now after making that trade. We're just going to change up the starting rotation there, put Wacha as our ace, and yeah, that should be it. Right now we're in first place, which is really nice to see. 1 game in front of the Mets. The Mets have the 2nd wild card spot, or are tied. Are they tied? Yeah, they're tied for the 2nd wild card spot with the Cubs, about a game behind the Diamondbacks. So it's a close race so far. So hopefully, again, we can stay relevant and stay in here and make it to the postseason. We're 17th overall right now, and we got 2 months left heading into the stretch run here. Hopefully, we're going to be able to stay good, and I'll meet you guys at the end of the year, and we'll see how the team did. Hopefully, we'll be in a playoff spot. Alright guys, so we made it to the end of the year. We made the postseason. We won the division by 6 games over the Nationals. It was actually a 3-way tie for the 2nd wildcard spot in the National League. The Nats beat the Mets in the first extra game, and then the Nationals beat the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks beat the Nationals to take the 2nd wildcard spot. So it's going to be the Brewers against the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers won the West, the Cubs won the Central, and of course the Marlins won the East. In the AL, we have the Yankees and the Indians and the Mariners, and then the Red Sox took the 1st wildcard spot, and the Angels took the 2nd. Now, we are 20th overall, but as I've come to figure out, that's because we've brought up a lot of players from the minors who aren't as good, and it kind of makes our team a little bit worse overall. So we're really not 20th. I think we're still around the 15th rank. Obviously, our speed and defense are still 30th, but that's no surprise. But yeah, we made the playoffs. Just briefly to go over some of the players and some of their stats. Wacha came over. He really performed well, continued what he was doing in St. Louis. He finished with a 2.19 ERA. Really nice season for him. Definitely a top Cy Young candidate. Lamet finished the year a little bit stronger, lowered the ERA under 5, so that was nice to see. Hopefully he can bounce back next year. Garcia had a nice year, 3.43 ERA, 12 wins. Heaney continued to do well, 16 wins, 2.65 ERA, which was, I think, the same as it was at the deadline. What else? Faria, a 3.18 ERA. He had a very solid year for us in his first year in Miami. I'm not going to go over the guys who came up later on in the year just to save a little bit of time. So moving on from that, we got Alvarado, who had an ERA under 3. Jimenez had a nice bounce back year, 3.48 ERA. I was a little bit worried about him with that 5 ERA last year, and he was trending down, so it's nice to see that he bounced back and had a nice season. I have a little bit more trust that he is a capable reliever moving forward, but of course you never know. Steckenrider had a bit of a down year. You know, I don't really know what to do with him. We may look to trade him after this point because he isn't a free agent for another 2 seasons. So, you know, if he has years like this, I don't know if I want to keep him on the team. Fields had a decent year. His ERA went up a little bit towards the end. He is declining a bit, but he's 35 years old. So hopefully he can hold it together a little bit longer for the postseason. But not a bad year by him. Chad Green had a rough season. Hopefully he can turn things around next year with a 5.45 ERA. Not very good. Tyrone Guerrero definitely struggled in the second half. 5.16 ERA. I think it was closer to, I think it was under 4 actually around the deadline. So not a good second half for him. Hernandez came up in the end of the year. Moving on to Minter, he had a very nice season. 47 saves, 2.68 ERA. How many blown saves? Only 4, so he had a nice year compared to last. Every year he keeps getting better. He had a bit of a step back in 2019, but every year for the most part he keeps getting better, so that's really nice to see. He's already up to a 90 overall and still trending up. We got Blaine Miles, 90 hits, 12 homers, hit 265, good on base. As our catcher, Will Smith, the other catcher in the platoon, not as good of a year. Average still pretty low, but we've come to expect that from him. On base is pretty decent though for his average, so that's a positive to take out of his stat line. We got Bohr, who is trending down, probably won't be back next season. 24 homers, hit about 250, so not as good as he did last year, but still a nice power bat in the lineup. Cooper was in the minors for the majority of the year. It's good to see Diaz progressing and developing. He's up to a 72 now. You know, maybe he takes over for Bohr's spot moving forward. Hernandez, 269 average, 150 hits, 351 on base. You know, he had a pretty nice year. We may look to trade him because I didn't realize his contract, and the salary is going to keep going up. He's already declining a little bit, so I guess it kind of more depends on how much room we have salary wise and how he performs if he keeps declining, but we may look to trade him moving forward. Robertson had a nice year, 20 homers, a lot better than Riddle was doing for us. Hit just about 260, decent on base. You know, he had a very nice year. I'm happy with his performance. We got Seager holding strong here, even though he's declining a bit. Probably not going to see him moving forwards. 14 homers. He platooned with Bohr for the most part. Hit 261. So a decent year by him. We got Jerko, who had a bit of a down year, as I mentioned earlier. Kind of turned it around a little bit in the second half, but he is still declining quite a bit, especially in that contact versus lefties. Everywhere else is just minor in the, you know, him declining, but we'll kind of see how he moves moving forward. We'll see how he's doing. Drury, he had a decent year as a utility player, I guess, hitting 266, 12 homers. Not a bad year for him. We do probably want Noose to be at the major league level next season, so you know, he's gonna probably take over for Seager. If Jerko's gone, maybe we have Cuthbert, maybe we get someone else. We'll see moving forward. Rojas came up later on in the year. We got Tomas, who had a decent year, not as good as last, but he had more power. He's definitely developing some more power. He is only 30 years old. He's trending up, so that's nice to see. He is a free agent, though, so we'll see about bringing him back moving forward. Reddick hit about 250, 13 homers. You know, not as good of a year as we thought he could have, but because of his age and declining, I kind of expected him not to have as good of a year, but you know, not a bad year overall, especially for a kind of third, fourth outfielder. Then we have Brian Anderson, who had another solid year for us at 288, 26 homers, 163 hits, almost 100 RBIs. On base was almost 350. You know, he did pretty well for us yet again. He's kind of our star player that's been homegrown. We got Renfroe here, who hit 250, only 12 homers. He didn't play as much as he could have, I guess, with the platoon between him and Reddick, so he didn't have as much homers, I think, or showed as much power as he may have had if he had more at-bats, obviously. So, you know, he's still going to be part of the team at least next year, so we'll see how he does next year moving forward. We got Kirilloff, who's showing some power with 11 homers in his first year in the majors, hit 240. Like to see the on-base go up a little bit more. But, you know, not a bad year for Kirilloff starting off in a bench role. So he's still trending upwards, so that's good to see. So yeah, overall a pretty solid year for the most part for most of these guys. A couple guys had a bit of a down year. Hopefully they can turn it around. Someone like Steckenrider we may not have for much longer. A couple guys we're probably going to move on from after this season. But yeah, overall a very nice season for the majority of the team, and we made the playoffs, so we, you know, succeeded in, you know, getting our goal done. But moving on, we're going to see who won any awards, anything like that. So let's jump into that real quickly. In the awards, we got Heaney and Reddick with gold gloves, and the Cy Young from Michael Wacha. All right, very nice to see that. Anybody else get anything? No, that's gold glove. We know about that. Anybody else? You know, Reddick got the gold glove. Just going through here, seeing if there's anybody on our team, and there isn't. All right, so moving on to league leaders, we have Michael Wacha in ERA, Andrew Heaney in winning percentage, and Wacha in WHIP. And apparently that's it for the actual, you know, leaders, number ones in those categories. You know, we got Anderson here, 13th in average. In hits, we don't have anyone. We got Cesar Hernandez with 40 doubles. Homers, we have... Do we have anyone in homers? I don't think we do. I don't think we had anyone that hit 30. I think Anderson hit the most for us. Yeah, 26. Anderson had 96 RBIs. I'm just kind of going through here and seeing if there's anyone to point out. We got Robertson with 89 walks, so he had a nice season. Anyone else in offensive categories? Nope. We got Heaney with 16 wins, Wacha with 15. Wacha and Heaney again very low with losses. Who else was that? Garcia only 8 losses. Saves, we had Minter with 47. ERA, Wacha has 219. Heaney's 4th with 265. So that's really nice to see. Garcia only allowed 11 homers, which is really strong in that department. Faria only 16, Heaney only 17, so we had some nice years on the starters' parts for allowing home runs. In shutouts, Wacha had only 2, but that's up there for the league leaders. Wacha had 213 strikeouts. Complete games, Wacha had 3. Innings pitched, Wacha had 222. That was good for second. Anybody else? Walks allowed, nope. And WHIP, we got Wacha with 1.02. He had a very good year. Very good year. Only half of it was for us, but still, very good year. Pitching WAR, we got Wacha with 4.7. And no one in the top of the leaderboards here in batting WAR. So we're going to jump into, I keep saying jump in. It's annoying me. We're going to go into the postseason now. I don't know what I'm pressing there. See who wins the wild card games. We got Milwaukee moving on. Arizona's been eliminated. And then in the AL, we have Angels moving to face the Yankees, and Boston has been eliminated as well. So we have Miami against the Cubs, Milwaukee against the Dodgers, Seattle against the Indians, the Angels against the Yankees. So what I'm going to do here is sim all of this until we're at an elimination game, or a game that we could, win if it's in the World Series. But if we're at an elimination game, we'll jump into quick manage. If it's more than one elimination game, if we're down like 0-2, I'm not going to quick manage all 3 games. I'll just meet you guys at the game that I guess decided whether we move on or not. But yeah, let's not jump into this. Let's go into the postseason here, get started, see how we do against the Cubs. So we are up 9-2 in the first game. We won 9-7, so that was a nice comeback attempt on the Cubs' part. But we were able to hold the win. In the second game, we got Heaney working on a no-hitter through 6. And we won 2-1. Alright, so game number 3, we got Hendricks going against Lamet. And it is a tied game in the 9th. The Cubs beat the Marlins 4-2. We got game number 4, Garcia against Alzolay. Is that how you say it? We lost 9-5, so we're going to be going in here to a elimination game. So we will be quick managing this, and I don't think that actually matters. So we got Faria going against Quintana, so hopefully we can pull out the win in this one. Hernandez starts it off with a ground out, and it's a quick 1-2-3 inning for Quintana. Excuse me, in the top of the first. Faria taking the mound for the bottom of the first inning against Billy Hamilton. He gives up a single. We got a pick off there. Pop out on Hayward. Happ hits a 2-run shot, so we are down 2-0 already. Gives up another double. Strikeout. Walk. I'm wondering if it's going to be better if I just sim some of this. Quintana and Faria. Oh, yeah, it's the pitcher. Okay, ground out. So let's sim through this first half of the second inning because I feel like I'm just going to mess things up. We were unable to do anything. In the bottom of the second, Faria had a bounce back inning, able to hold them scoreless in that inning. Top of the third against Quintana. Again, we are still hitless through 3. Faria in the bottom of the third against the Cubs held them hitless, didn't give up any more runs. Top of the fourth, we got Hernandez leading off against Quintana. We were able to score 2 runs. I'm not sure how I missed it. If you want to go back and pause it, you're more than welcome to. In the bottom of the fourth, we got Russell leading off against Faria. He gave up 1 hit, but they did not score a run, so that's good. We got Jerko leading off against Quintana in the 5th, unable to score a run. Happ against Faria in the bottom of the 5th. We got Happ, Guzman, and Bryant. If anyone gets on, we got Contreras and Russell behind him, but he held them scoreless in that inning. Top of the 6th, we got Hernandez, Tomas, Anderson to lead off the order against Quintana, and we were able to tie up the game. So moving to the bottom of the 6th, the game is tied 3-3. Faria going against Contreras, Russell, and Quintana, the pitcher spot. If anybody gets on, we got Baez and Hamilton coming up afterwards. He was able to hold them scoreless. We got Jerko leading off in the 7th. Murphy's in, but we got Cishek coming in from the bullpen. So Jerko grounds out, Smith grounds out, and Faria. Should we bring in a pinch hitter? Yes, against Cishek. So I guess let's bring in Bohr. Yeah, let's bring in Bohr. He struck out. Not the best outcome there. We got to bring in a pitcher from the bullpen. We got Baez hitting. So he's better against... I guess he's better against... We don't want him to hit a home run, so we want less of that chance. So maybe against a lefty? It depends. How many lefties do I only have 2 lefties, so... I don't know what to do. Maybe we'll bring in Green. See how he does against him. Gets the ground out. Hamilton singles, which is not good because he's super fast. Hayward is... let's leave him in against Hayward. Who singled? Not good. Okay. We might want to bring in a lefty to face Hap. I hope this does not burn us moving forwards. Pick off at second. Hap singles, bases are loaded. Not good. Guzman is better versus righty, so we're going to leave in the lefty. Pick off just in case. Sac fly, so they took the lead in the bottom of the 7th with 2 outs. We got Bryant up now. Probably going to bring in a right-hander. Jimenez, I guess, would be the best choice. And he gets the fly out to end the inning. So we're in the top of the 8th. Down 4-3 now. Going against Cishek still. Top of the order. We're going to sim through that. We took the lead. 2 runs scored. We're up 5-4. Contreras is up against Jimenez. Can we get this done? Can we move on to the championship series? Getting a little ahead of myself, but let's see if we can do this. He walked Russell. We're going to pick off there. Strike out. And, oh no, they tied it up. 5-5. Baez with the double. Pick off at second. Struck him out to end the inning. We're going to the top of the 9th. We're going to sim through that. We were unable to score a run. Hayward leads off with a walk. I'm not feeling very comfortable anymore. We're going to bring in Guerrero here. Yeah, really not feeling comfortable here. All right, pick off to first. Pop out. Another walk. Double play. We got out of it. We're going to extras. Going to extras in game 5 here. All right, so we're going to bring in a pinch hitter for Guerrero against a lefty. So definitely not Reddick. 72 and 45. 76 and 61. So probably Drury is our best bet right now. So we're going to bring him in. He strikes out. Not a good outcome. We got Hernandez up next with the ground out. Tomas with a walk. Anderson with a single, keeping things alive. We got Robertson coming up, but he hits into a fielder's choice. And that does it for the inning. All right, pitching change. We got... I'm really nervous to bring in second rider. Fields had a bit of a down year moving into the second half of the season. And then, of course, we have Minter, who we want to save for his save opportunity. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I guess we're bringing in second rider, and oh my god, that's a bad ERA. Fingers crossed he can get us through the inning. He gives up a walk. That's not good. He gives up another walk. We are going to be forced to bring in Minter. Pick off at second. Strike out. Ground out. Can he do it? He gets the ground out. We're moving to the 11th inning. Seager leading off with a strikeout. Renfroe flies out. And Jerko with the strikeout. All right. Leadoff single against Minter by Hayward. Pick off. And that's how the season ends for the Miami Marlins. We got really close to moving to the championship series. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it. The bullpen is actually, I think, what did it for us there. We did not have a lot of options that I felt too comfortable with going to. Forced to go to some guys who were struggling. So, yeah, not a good way to end the season. But it was a big step forward for this team, making the playoffs. Hopefully next year we're able to continue this success. We're probably, now that I've seen it, we're probably going to have to go out and find a couple of bullpen pieces, maybe 2 bullpen pieces to strengthen it up a little bit moving forwards. Definitely might have to make some changes offensively, but we'll keep that for the next video. And yeah, let's see who wins it all in 2021. We got forgot to mention the outcomes. We got the Dodgers beating Milwaukee to move on to face the Cubs. Cleveland beat Seattle, and the Yankees beat the Angels. So we got 4 teams left right now. The Yankees beat the Cleveland Indians 4-1, so they're waiting the winners of Dodgers and the Cubs. And the Dodgers are taking on the Yankees in the World Series. So let's see who wins that one. The Dodgers are up 2-0. Tied 2-2. The Yankees have defeated the Dodgers in the 2021 World Series 4-2. So the Yankees have won again. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. And, hopefully the Marlins can keep it going next year. Depending on how they do, it might be the last season. Otherwise, we might go one more. But yeah, we'll continue this in the next video for year number 5. Again, thank you guys for checking this one out. I do hope you enjoyed it, and until the next one, I will see you guys later.